two writers, one just starting out, the other a bestseller. Join James Blatch and Mark Dawson and their amazing guests as they discuss how you can make a living telling stories. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
Hello and welcome, the SPF podcast. Look, we've changed things around again a little bit. What do you think of the kind of radio studio vibe we've got going?
I quite like it. The only thing I'd say is that viewers or listeners won't be able to see this, but viewers who are watching will have a very well-framed shot, and what they won't see is Mr. Dyer hovering over to my right and a confusing mess of cables and tripods and lighting and all kinds of stuff, but I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the magic of Hollywood.
Or Salisbury.
Or Salisbury, yes, the other Hollywood. Yeah, we talked about Hollywood last week, and a little bit of feedback around the place about it. It is one of these subjects that, I mean, I thought Cal was fascinating to listen to, and somebody who's been there and done it and understands the cynicism of Hollywood and understands that it's a very brutally commercial world, and ultimately it's easy to get ripped off in it.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a good interview, and also quite timely for me because I'm actually speaking to my producer and someone from the director from his company this evening at 10 o'clock UK time, which I think is about 2 p.m. LA time. So yeah, that was it was quite timely to think about that and listen to Carl's thoughts.
How excited are you about that?
Not very excited. It's great that things are going on. But as I've said before in the podcast, it's not something that I'm kind of banking on. I'm not buying £1 million houses right now. If it comes off, it's great, and it's very flattering that very serious people, are engaged with the material, and they're definitely pitching it to studios to try and generate some interest. But I'm not gonna get too excited until the ink's dry on the contract.
Yeah, well, I think it's exciting, and we'll all enjoy that moment. We'll never see you again, obviously, when the films get made.
We'll do it in Malibu next time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now this episode we are back to books and pure books, and you have just gone through a launch. It's been a pretty hectic time for you, I have to say, and you sort of disappeared off our radar for a little bit when you were heads down writing the book. Just tell us a bit about the book, first of all.
Yeah, so it's the 10th John Milton book. So Milton is my kind of my flagship franchise. It's the one that most people know me for. And for the 10th one, I wanted to do something a bit special. So I took some soundings from my audience and found out what kind of thing they were interested in, what kind of adventure John should go on, and also asked which characters they enjoyed from the previous books. And I brought a couple of them back again, which has gone down very well. So I started writing it, I guess, October or November last year, and we've obviously been quite busy with course stuff, with the 101 course that launched. And then I kind of really accelerated in January, concentrating on getting the book finished. And it's been great. It's been my best launch by quite a long way, and for a number of reasons. And we'll go into why that might be in this podcast. We can chat about the things I've done to improve my process, and give listeners some takeaways as to what they might be able to do when they're ready to launch their next book.
Yeah, so that's what this podcast is going to be about. It's going to be about how to launch a book, and long-term listeners of the podcast will remember that we did do this before. We broke down your previous launch, which I think was your record launch then, so you've beaten that record. Yeah,
every launch I do beats the one before it, and there's a number of reasons for that. Obviously, the main one is my list is bigger every time, so I'm able to broadcast that message out to more people every time I've got one to go. And also I'm refining the process all the time. So I've done a couple of things this time I haven't done before that have worked extremely well. And we can talk about that. And go into a little bit of detail because they're quite simple for people to use those tips and tricks too.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the more you understand about this business, how detailed and complex each little part is. And the launch in itself is a bit of an art form, isn't it? And something, as you say, you're refining each time, and each launch you learn new refinements.
Yeah, it's like a finely tuned Swiss watch. And I'm adding things in all the time. So we're good to get into some of that.
Good. Okay, well, let's start breaking down some of the detail. In fact, you mentioned that the YouTube viewers of the podcast won't be able to see the background. Of course, there is actually a GoPro camera up on that shelf and standing right in the middle of the shot there, fiddling with things. Stop fiddling with things. is our third amigo, looking slim and energetic. Good. Okay, let's break down the launch. So where do you want to start, Mark, in terms of, I guess, what we've got is a completed book that's been through its editorial process. And do you start even as you're still putting the book together?
We'll go a bit before that, because I've obviously got an advanced team. I've spoken about that before. It's one of the main benefits of, one of the benefits of having a list is that you can recruit people, super fans really, to staff an advanced team. And so I finished the book. At least I was reasonably happy with it. I had a bit of a nagging question about one element, and I won't say what that was right now. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I wanted to send that off for the advanced team to look at it. So it had been proofread and was in the process of being copy edited. So it's quite clean. I write quite clean anyway. And I sent it off, and immediately, within like a day, one guy wrote back and said, "I hate the ending. I hate the ending. The book is great, but the ending would have been a 5-star book. It's a 2-star book because of the ending." And I have had problems with endings before. I got all kinds of bad reviews for the first Isabella Rose book. People hated how I ended that book. So it's not one of my strengths, ending it. And that was the issue that I had in the back of my mind, was that it isn't quite right. And the reason it wasn't is it was a bit too much of a cliffhanger. It wrapped up everything. The characters were safe without giving too much away. They were out.
Safe or dead, depending.
Safe or dead. They had certainly a conclusion, but the bad guy, kind of the main bad guy, hadn't been dealt with. And my intention was kind of the sub bad guy was dealt with, but the main bad guy had kind of escaped. And the intention was for the next book to follow that, pick that story up. And that was what I said to you before. I had 20,000 words of the next book ready to go, and a really good idea as to how that book might look. But as they started emailing me back, so I had this first one, hated the ending. Second one said, I don't like the ending. And so at this point, my antenna is twitching, because it was the thing I was worried about. And I think all I needed was just some validation that I should have trusted my gut on that. And my gut's normally right, and that kind of stuff. So I, at that point, decided to be a bit more proactive. And I emailed my list, and also emailed the advanced team and said, I want you to pay careful focus. The main thing I want you to think about is the ending satisfying? I didn't say that, I don't think it is. I didn't want to tip them off too much as to what I thought they might say. And they came back, I'd say probably 75%, 25% didn't like the ending.
Right.
So that is a very clear steer at that point. That's probably 200 readers coming back saying I didn't like the ending. That would be a clear steer to me that I'm going to get bad reviews for that book. So
that's how big's your advanced team?
So I don't know, 600.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, something like that, 600 people. So it was. I'm
sorry, just to draw on this. How do you get that feedback? 600 is a lot of people to read through a couple of paragraphs of an email. Do you send them a survey or?
No, they email me back.
Oh, okay.
So it is a lot of work.
Right.
I mean, not all of them will respond. So of the 600, probably, I guess I probably got 300 responses this time. And it is a lot of work. I basically dump them all into a folder and then do it over a day or two. I'll go through all the comments. So there'll be lots of people picking up typos that have slipped through the process, or correcting factual errors, some making plot suggestions. And I'll do that one after another. And so a lot of the typos, as soon as you've done one, everyone will pick it up. So you don't need to do that again, because obviously you corrected it. So it is quite intensive. So a couple of weeks' work of really serious focus on the text. But so I decided basically I'm going to rewrite the ending. So I took that 20,000 words that I had, and the book was, I think when I finished it in kind of first draft, it was about 80,000 words. When I finished it second draft, it was 100,000 words. So of those 20,000, maybe 5,000 were used. The other stuff I just junked because I don't think I'll use it again, which I've no problem with doing that. It's fine. There's no point forcing something in if it's not going to make the book better. And then I wrote another, say, 15,000 words of fresh content, and ended the book taking the ending of what was going to be the next book, putting that into this book. It's a really satisfying ending. It's kind of pure Milton. He's absolutely ruthless in this book. And then I sent that one out. So I said to my team that I'm not happy with the ending. Most of you agree with that. It's not the right ending for the book. So I've rewritten it. Here's your new copy. And then the responses I got back from that were kind of ecstatic. It was like, this book is fabulous. I liked it before. I absolutely love it now. and that's been reflected in the reviews. We'll get onto the reviews in a minute. But as it stands, as we record this now, I think it's had 189 reviews. 187 are 5-star reviews and 2 are 4-star reviews. It's ridiculous. It's by far the most.
You haven't had one of those 1-star reviews? I haven't read it yet.
No, not yet. They always come. To be honest, I don't care now. The book's bulletproof now. It's had such a great response, and the sales have been fantastic as well, which we'll get into some numbers. I'm happy to share numbers of the launch as well. So picking up that process, the book then comes back to me. The comments come back on the second version. In the meantime, my copy editor has made her changes and sent those back to me. I'm then ready to take the book and get it formatted. So I sent it to my formatters, and at the same time I also did a vellum edition this time, which I love.
So you worked in vellum?
I did, yep. For the first time I used vellum.
Isn't it beautiful?
Highly recommend it. It's amazing. Very, very impressive piece of software. So I had that done. I also had the print version formatted by Polgaris in Australia, the guys I use over there. So that all happened. I then... Just trying to think about when this book went out. I think I was supposed to launch it on the 15th of February. I don't know. Basically, I was a week early. I managed to accelerate stuff a week early. So I put it up. I then emailed the advanced team and said the book is live, ready for reviews. I've mentioned how I go through that process before. Within 24 hours, it had 100 reviews, so the team really came through. A lot of them also bought the book, even though they got it for free, because I put it up at 99 cents to start with. So they get the verified tag, which means those reviews are less likely to be stripped out by Amazon. And I was ready to go. I then emailed the list, and then we started to see the actual real sales at the full price, because I pushed the price up to sale price.
So how long was it at 99 cents?
I think for about 12 hours.
Okay.
Like maybe a touch longer than that. But I basically...
So what's the reason for that? That's to have a good burst of reviews. And
it's 2 reasons, really. You can leave unverified reviews, so you don't need to have bought something to buy to leave a review. But the problem with that is those reviews won't have that verified purchase tag, which means that number one, they're not taken quite as seriously by people browsing. And number two, it's probably a little bit more likely that Amazon will sweep those up. There've been cases recently where unverified reviews have been either taken off or made more difficult to see.
Yeah, we've had a few postings in the group, haven't we, about
that? That definitely does happen. And the other reason is even those 99-cent sales count towards the ranking. So by getting, I think I had about 150 of those 99-cent purchases from the advanced team. So when I was ready to launch properly at the full price, I think the book was around about 2,000 in the rankings, which is a decent platform to start with. And then I'm able to really push that launch hard and get the book at a high ranking, and it's a bit stickier if you've had sustained sales over time rather than one big burst.
Yeah. Okay. So 99 cents for 12 hours or so.
Yep. So then the book goes up to $4.99. That was my launch price.
This is US dollars.
Yeah, $3.99 in the UK. And I sent out my emails to my various lists. So I've always used MailChimp. It's a bit annoying. I'd rather just have one list. I've actually got about 20 different lists. So they have to be sent out 20 different times, which is a pain in the neck. It takes ages. But the book went out, and the kind of I think the average open rate over those initial send-outs was about 45%. So it's about what I'd expect typically from my list. Some will be a little higher. The organic lists, so ones that have come in from the backs of books, probably about 60%. The colder lists, so things like lead gen lists and that kind of thing, maybe around 35%, something along those lines. But the average was around about 45%. And so I'm watching the KDP dashboard like a hawk as this starts to happen, and it starts. You can see the sales coming in and coming in and coming in. It's across all platforms. I had a pre-order going on Apple and Kobo and Barnes & Noble. That reminds me. Remind me to tell you about the mistake I made at Kobo. Okay. Very, very annoying.
Let's talk about pre-orders as well in a minute, because I'll ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah, so we can do that now. Pre-orders work very, very well on the other platforms, but not so well on Amazon. For me, anyway, because Amazon counts those pre-order sales when those pre-orders are made.
Okay.
So you'll have a rank. Your pre-order book will have a rank, but my launching works best, at least it has done so far, by having those sales at a time that I can control over, say, a 2 or 3 day period, rather than, say, over a 6-month period.
Yeah. I mean, inevitably, it's going to be a lower position when you spread the votes of the sales out over that period of time than having them in 3 days. So visibility-wise, it works for you.
On the other platforms, it doesn't work that way. So on Apple, they give you a rank when the pre-order is made, and then they also count the sale when the book is delivered. So it's basically double.
That's a better way of doing it, actually, isn't it? Because for a start, people can cancel a pre-order.
Yeah.
So to count it as a sale is probably not the right way of doing it. But anyway, it's Amazon's way. So
that's true. I mean, Apple also were very, very helpful to me this time. They put the book up as one of their picks for February. So I emailed the guys in Cupertino.
Tim.
Yeah, I spoke to Tim. Actually, I spoke directly to the big man.
Steve.
Still looking down.
Yeah.
And they're great. I love those guys. I know this is not something that everyone can do. You can't. It's not easy for everyone to reach out to them directly, but they did push that book up and promoted it in the US store. And we'll look at the numbers in a minute. It has sold very well on Apple. But I'm counting all these sales as they're coming across the platforms, and I think it got up to, over that initial burst, the highest it got to was overnight when I was asleep, so kind of UK time. It was about number 60 in the US store, and the highest I'd been before was about 80-ish, I think. So when you get the difference from 80 to 60 and then 60 to 40, we're talking hundreds of books. So to go from like 100,000 to 999,000, maybe one sale. To go from 60 to 59 is probably 200 sales.
Yeah.
I think it's much more competitive up at the top. So to get to 60 was great. I'd hoped to hit 50, but didn't do it this time. I'll almost certainly do it next time. And I think in the UK it got to about number 22, which was really fabulous. And that's just with no promotion apart from the list. No ads at that stage, just people on my list getting that email, going out and buying it. So again, if anyone's got
and the resulting visibility from being in the lists and
that's something that's kind of slightly short to medium term. So that maybe over the first week, that's when you start to get that. Amazon wouldn't immediately start to email out. It's not something that happens immediately.
Okay.
If you're ranking highly, then they'll start to contact other people that it thinks will like your books. So very, very good start. What I then did a couple of days after that is I take the unopeners from MailChimp. It's very, very simple to work out which people didn't open that email, so the launch email, and then I send change the headline and say thank you. So I said thank you, and I had a little screen grab of the ranking, say this has been an amazing launch, and then I think I had a screen grab of the reviews, so 150 reviews at that stage, say 149 were 5-star. This is so basically you're demonstrating to people this book has got masses of social proof,
and you're missing out on something.
Yeah.
See, I got this email because I was away last week and I did something I've not done for years, which is I turned my email off for 7 days and had a proper break because we all work hard, and I went skiing. And so I didn't open your first email. I was wondering why I got that email saying, thank you for your...
Yeah. So, I mean, people say thank you. It's, I think, normal for people to think, why is he thanking you? So it's just cute. You'll open it. So from that... so let's say of 40% of my list didn't open the original email, so they get the second one. 10% of the people who got that one opened it, and then a good number clicked. So you're increasing the visibility through the second campaign into your list. And then what I did, I'm in the process of doing right now, and this is the kind of the new wrinkle that I'm testing out. It's working very well. Is I take the people who didn't open either of those two emails on MailChimp, I export them into a spreadsheet and put them into MailerLite. So it's another similar, a nice new email service provider. You put the build new lists in MailerLite, and then you send another email to them. And you change the headline, and also this time you change the sending from address. So instead of my .me.com address, which is not a very good address to use on MailChimp because it does tend to trigger spam alerts on Gmail in particular, I changed it to my markjdawson.com address, so my own hosted address. And that so far has generated another 10% of open, so maybe another 200 to 300 clicks. So I would expect that to translate to at least another 150 sales, probably a bit more than that. And I haven't gone through all the bigger lists yet. So that's another, it's a bit time consuming, especially for me, because I've got all those 20 lists that you've got to export them individually.
And you can't do that in MailChimp where you just described you went to MailerLite with.
I'd rather send it from a different EMS. So it's just changing the way that the email is sent. You strip out things like images.
Because other stuff in the headings will be different between MailChimp and MailerLite, which might be the difference between it being triggered as spam or not. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. And you change it. You want to make it look original. So that, say it goes into your Gmail folder, the first one is caught by spam. This is a different email, perhaps even with a different sending address, so that it's less likely to trigger those. And that has worked very well. So I'm still going through that process. But as I say, it's led to another 10%. So I've probably actually got up to around about 65% of my list now has at least seen the email. And as we'll get onto in a minute, I have other ways of reaching them, the other 35%, even if I haven't opened those emails.
Okay, cool. By the way, in Infusionsoft, which we've moved over to, you can automate virtually all of that, apart from this last stage you're talking about going to a different EMS, but particularly sending a specific email to the unopeners at a certain period down the line. ConvertKit, I'm not sure, probably.
MailChimp can do that too.
MailChimp can do that too.
You can build a segment of unopeners reasonably easy to do that.
But I mean, you can automate this in advance. So when you set up your first automation, you can say after 7 days, anyone who hasn't opened that email gets this email.
Yeah, I don't know if MailChimp can do that. Probably not.
But anyway, all the different EMSs, obviously you pay a bit more for that. So. Okay, well, let's talk about what you're famous for, Mark, which is the advertising. Social media advertising, I'm guessing, has played a part in this launch.
I wonder what you're about to announce then. I'm famous for lots of things. Advertising. So, yeah, I concentrated on 3 specific kinds of ads this time. We did Facebook ads, BookBub ads, and Amazon Marketing Service ads. And we'll get to AMS ads in another podcast in early March. We're going to dedicate a whole hour to those because they're very exciting right now. I'm getting quite a lot of success. But I want to spend a bit more time in depth on those. So we'll skip over those very quickly. I'll just touch them a bit. But it's Facebook and BookBub that I think we'll concentrate on right now. So for Facebook, first of all, I took my mailing list, so that 65,000 strong list, a bit more than that now, put that into Facebook and told them to match up those email addresses with people who had Facebook accounts. And that brought a new audience that I could advertise to on Facebook of around about 40,000. So that was a good start. I then also added on to that using the Facebook Pixel, people who visited my website over the course of the last, say, 6 months. And then I used a new custom audience that is basically about engagement on Facebook. So people who visited my Facebook page, interacted with me, liked adverts, all of that kind of stuff. And all of that being accumulated together built a new audience that I could send ads to of around about 100 and something thousand strong across the world. So that's pretty good. And then I started to run those ads. So it was a very simple ad. It had an image of the book and had a bit of copy, which was basically, I think the hook was an offer he couldn't refuse, a murder he can't remember. That was the kind of the 2-sentence hook, with a little bit more saying that Milton is back and all of that kind of stuff, with buy links to the relevant stores. And of the ads I ran for about 2 or 3 days until I was quite aggressive with the spend, so I could get the message out as quickly as possible. I spent $734 and sold $864 worth of that book. Now, what I'm not taking into account there is other books. So people would also have bought the first book. They may have bought a box set. So some people would buy much more than just that book. But taking that out of the equation for now, the return on investment was 17%, so decent, and sold 209 copies over the course of that 2 or 3 days. So pretty effective. And then at the same time, BookBub obviously have a very similar ads platform to Facebook. We've spoken to BookBub before. We probably speak to them again quite soon. Maybe we'll have a chat with them at London for the book fair. But their ads platform is becoming more mature now, so I wanted to run some more ads there, and I haven't run any for a little while. So I ran about 10 different campaigns targeting authors quite like me, and also targeting myself, because you can send ads to people who BookBub thinks like you. So that's obviously going to be the best ad that you can run. So from that particular species of the ad to people who like me, I spent $210, sold $350 worth of books, which is a return on investment of 67%. So that's pretty effective. And then just looking at one of those other ads, I also targeted Barry Eisler, who is and was an indie author. In fact, is an indie author who was traditionally published, writes similar books to my Milton series, very similar. And I spent $210 on ads to his fans on BookBub, sold $332 worth of books, making a return on investment of 58%. And that kind of return was seen across all of those ads. So I probably spent maybe $1,000 and made around about $1,600 back, something along those lines, and sold several hundred copies to get there. And all of those things together were able to, and combined with those Amazon ads I mentioned, I ran a few of those, were able to really make that rank quite sticky, and it hovered around the 200-ish mark for about a week, and it's still bumping around about 500, so it's still selling really strongly, even 2 weeks after it was released.
Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting that the BookBub platform has matured and become more effective, do you think, for you?
Well, their audience is always getting bigger, and I hadn't run any ads for about 6 months, so all ads go stale eventually. Facebook ads take longer to go stale because there's a much bigger audience to serve into. BookBub ads go a little staler, a bit faster, because obviously their audience is comparatively much smaller than Facebook's. So I hadn't been on that platform for a while. I got Stuart, my designer, to do a nice image that matched their specifications. Had a nice pull quote from the one of the reviews, just phenomenal, with Amazon Reviewer. That was quite a hook, and it worked. It worked really well. Those ads were really effective. I've continued to run those until quite recently, so they've done well.
Good. You did get some good reviews, which is great and very pleasing for you. And Stuart's cover was great. I mean, there was a hint of Freddie Mercury about it. I
know. Several people have said that.
Yeah, it occurred to me straight away when I first saw it as well. But I don't know if I haven't read the book, I should confess, but has Milton bulked up a little bit? Was that part of that imagery? Because he looks like a little bit bulkier than he was before. But
no, I mean, generally covers don't reflect that kind of granular detail. So no, not really.
This kind of granular detail for the YouTuber.
And for listeners, James, I think I may need to get binoculars up, but I think he's flexing his muscles. Put the guns away, James.
Put the boys away.
So we'll do. So I'll finish with sales in a minute, but a couple of things are worth mentioning. A couple of learnings on this. So the error I referred to with Kobo and pre-orders. This was a complete, an embarrassing faux pas that was rescued by Mark Lefebvre and all the lovely guys over there. I put up a sample, so when you do a pre-order, you need to have a little sample up so people can have a look. I put up the first chapter, which was pretty much locked down quite a long way before the rest of the book. And then, of course, I forgot to change the sample. And so when it went live at the full price, people were buying the first chapter. And I started to get emails from people saying, "This is I can't believe it. I've only bought the first chapter. How can I get the rest of the book?" No one was really angry. They were just kind of like a bit perplexed as to why they hadn't. They're like, "I love the first chapter. I want to read the rest of it."
Wow, that was a short book.
Yeah, so Kobo were amazing. I spoke to Mark and said, I think I made a bit of an error. I wonder if there's anything you can do to help me. And I think at that stage I sold about 100 copies, so 100 readers had a not satisfactory buying experience, which makes me look bad. It also makes Kobo look bad. And it's through no fault of theirs whatsoever. So I said to Mark, I've changed it now. The new file, correct full file, is live. Do you automatically replace the file? And I don't think they do. So what Mark did with one of their customer service guys, who was wonderful, she basically reached out to all of the people and said, look, the author's made a mistake. Probably, I didn't see the email, but I hope that's what they said. And here's the final version for you to enjoy. So kudos to the Mark and the guys in Toronto. That was extremely helpful.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess Mark, we've met Mark, but I'm going to guess that if you're in that position, Kobo is a very helpful organisation and very keen to sort errors. If you made an honest mistake, probably easier to deal with Kobo and BookBub than it is with Amazon, which is a bit more of a beast to get through to. But
that would have been, and also the numbers would have been much, much bigger, as we'll talk about in a minute. So that would have been a real problem. But I did so much. There was so much stuff going on there that was just a case of, I just dropped the ball on that one. One of those things, but it was we managed to pick it up quite quickly, so no problems there. Okay.
We should say for people listening with keen ears that this is a cohabited building. There are some noises off, and we've had a bath being run earlier, but we're gradually getting there. We'll soundproof this place eventually, but just to explain those. Okay, so that's your launch advertising.
Oh, one more error.
Oh, yeah, go on.
One more error. This
another error, Mark.
Another error. Yeah, this is. I knew this was probably going to happen at some point. If you're using Amazon affiliate links, which is what I do for lots of different reasons, not for me to make money, but to track, so I can work out how effective ads are. Don't put them in emails. Right? So I've known for ages that this is an issue, and generally I don't do that. But again, it slipped my mind this time. So I put the affiliate links in the emails. You're only really supposed to use them on websites.
This is a terms of service issue, is it?
Yeah, terms of.
There's no other reason for not doing it.
No, it's just against the TOS. So I put the links out, and so lots of traffic is being generated. So Amazon, as somewhere in Amazon Associates HQ, it would have been triggered that there's a lot of activity coming in on these links, and they investigated. And I got an email saying, "We've noticed that we think you're in breach of your affiliates terms of service, and we think the reason is you're using links in emails. It's an automated email coming out." And it basically gave me 5 days to basically put the house in order. If you know, and you have to say that if you come back and say, I think I fixed it, and if you haven't, they'll shut the account down after 5 days. So, touch wood, that's been fixed now. But that's one thing I suspect quite a lot of authors still use affiliate links in their emails. So again, I have done before, and this is the first time that I've been pulled up.
Your list is bigger now, isn't it? So it's going to trigger more.
It is bigger, but I think there's a risk that this could happen to anybody. So it's worth just bearing that in mind as you do launches.
And where do you stand? Where do people stand now on affiliate links and Facebook ads?
Yeah, it's clearly in breach. I've seen a couple, 2 or 3 people have done that and have reported that they've had their accounts closed down. I think it's fairly obviously a breach. Well, on the other hand, though, I've seen hundreds of people who do still do that. The safest way, the way to be absolutely sure you're complying with the terms of service is to link to a landing page from the ad and then link out to the relevant stores.
So as long as your affiliate link is on a web page that you own, your.com, then you're very firmly within the TOS of using the affiliate links.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the advertising, mistakes and all, warts and all. You always get warts and all with SPF as a learning for all of us. And those, a lot of work, a lot of money to get those sales, but they really are the tip of the iceberg, aren't they, in terms of launch? They're very targeted sales in a short period of time to try and get visibility. Actually, most of your sales come from as a result of that, don't they, of that visibility? Yeah,
so sales will be generated over, say, typically the first 30 days tend to be the best. That's the notorious 30-day cliff, where after that you tend to find books become a little less sticky. But there are ways that you can mitigate that. But I've been pushing it quite hard. I've done a lot of Facebook stuff, so regular Facebook messages. I've posted into my groups. So onto my page with good news about the rank, about the sales, all of that kind of stuff, and I'm getting loads and loads of really positive feedback. Those posts are being seen by the organic reach has been very high because Facebook knows that they're relevant. Because my fans are responding, they're commenting, they're liking, they're loving them, all that kind of stuff. So it gets seen by many more people. I've also done some Facebook Live stuff, which has again really big organic reach right now. So I've been really pushing hard, and it has been worth it. So we'll get to, in terms of I don't mind telling everyone how it's done.
Yeah, I mean, if you're happy to share that, and I think it's absolutely fascinating to those of us at the beginning of a career to understand what the financial impact can be of getting it right and being a successful indie writer.
Yeah, so I look at all the stores. The only one I won't do is Google. It is on Google and it has sold a few on Google, but I haven't had time to grab those numbers this morning. But the sales on Amazon, so across all stores, Amazon is 7,407 copies sold so far, which has brought in $23,000, $186.51. So pretty good. Apple, as I said, has been very strong performer this time, and Apple is probably about 25% of my sales across the board now, so I'm definitely making a lot of progress with those guys. We've had 1,280 sales, making $4,471.04. Kobo, 319, so of course the first 100 were perhaps not optimal, but we fixed that and then sold over 300 on Kobo, bringing in 1,114 and 26. And Barnes & Noble, 235 sales, bringing in just a touch over $800. So the grand total is, and I suspect actually it's ticked up now because it's still selling about $1,000 a day at the moment, is $29,584. So pretty, and that's in just over a week. So it's pretty. I
mean, that's more than another hot tub, isn't it?
I could have a fleet of hot tubs with that. So
potentially a swimming pool. And what's the advertising spend? Did you note that in total?
Yeah, so that's about $2,000, I think.
Okay, so I mean that's $28,000 profit there.
Yeah.
And everyone who bought that book who's not already a fan, and there will be a percentage in there who, for them, this is their first Milton book, then there's a trickle-back effect.
Oh, yeah.
There as well, of course.
Yeah. And I've seen, I'm using Book Report now to make better sense of the KDP dashboard. Highly recommend that. If guys haven't seen that yet, it's fabulous.
Well, it's one for the whiteboard, isn't it? Because I think the whole analysis and tracking area is complicated. Book Reports in itself is a brilliant tool, and I've seen your emails flying around about that. And we'll get the guy on in the future.
Liam, he's going to be in. He's been in touch, so he wants to come on the podcast.
Well, let's get Liam on, but let's widen that as well and talk about tracking and how best you do that. In addition to what you get in terms of the dashboards.
Yeah. So it's. I have seen, to answer the point, I have seen sales increase across the board. The first book has sold more, quite a bit more actually. Since Blackout came out, because people will have seen book 10. They may not have bought book 10, or maybe they did, but they've been interested enough to go back and read book 1.
Yeah.
Even though Blackout is effectively a standalone, you don't need to have read the other books.
Right.
And the box set sales have gone up. So this month already has been the best month I've had for about 6 months. So. And that is a really good takeaway. We can talk about advertising until we're blue in the face, and in fact, sometimes we do until we're blue in the face. But this is a terrible cliche, but it's really true. The best form of marketing is just to write another book, because it's another way for you to be discovered. You can sell to your list. You'll get sales. Amazon and the other platforms will then market widely if you're selling. It's a really great way to invigorate your backlist, is just to put another one out.
Well, fantastic. Congratulations, Mark. What are your writing plans for the rest of the year?
Well, I've got another book out in April, which has already been finished and has been on the shelf for about 6 months. So that's an Amazon Thomas and Mercer book.
So Isabella Rose.
Yes. Yeah, Isabella, and that's early April. I'm about 20,000 words into the next Milton book, which is going to be called either The Finest or The Witness. And that's set in Brooklyn. So that's coming on really well. I'm very pleased with that. So that will certainly be finished in the next... I'd like to publish that in May if I can. There'll be at least one more Milton book, and then possibly one after that, and possibly a new police procedural I've got kind of boiling away at the moment.
Yeah. So if you replicate those launches, forgetting back sales and forgetting ongoing sales, you're talking about knocking on £200,000 of income from those 5 or 6 launches.
Yeah.
In a year, that's $260,000. $250,000 a year just from those launches. And that is a tidy sum. Now, we should mention in terms of launches that one of our alumni, Adam Croft, has had a spectacular launch as well. He's had one of his books published by, I always want to call them Procter & Gamble, but the Thomas and Mercer, which is the Amazon's own imprint. Because Adam was working hard and working at his craft, 8 or 9 books out, but it was really stumbling across your teachings on Facebook advertising that accelerated his career, really lit the blue touch paper, and he had an amazing success with Her Last Tomorrow, his previous book. Got a deal with Amazon for their imprint, and found himself happily retweeting the screen grabs of him being number 1 in the UK store and number 1 in the US store at the same time a couple of weeks ago. So we want to say a hearty congratulations to Adam for that. It was a spectacular result for him, and it's so pleasing to see one of our little students. That sounds patronising, doesn't it? Also, we should probably say congratulations to Adam because he's become a dad.
That's very true.
For the second time?
No, first time.
First time. And he's called the child...
Mark.
James.
Oh, you're kidding me.
He's called the child James because I think I just had that impression on him. I think it's probably after an uncle. But yeah, congratulations, Adam. Great news, and we love sharing your success with you. Good. Well, that was a great breakdown of the launch. Really interesting. You seem to have survived it as well. It was hard work for you, and you obviously had a couple of days when you realised you had a couple of
Facepalm moments.
Facepalm moments. But you got over those, and well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's great fun. It's always amazing. I love launching. It's so much fun to see the reviews come in, especially when they've just been so enthusiastic this time. It's really flattering, and to see so many people buying the book. It kind of puts all the hard work, which actually isn't really hard work. It's telling stories, but it's a real high point to see the book out there.
Yeah, and it's a team effort. People like Stuart and all the various people, like Mark LeBeuf, and all the people who've helped you at various points in that, and building up a team around you of fellow professionals is an important part of it.
Who's Mark LeBeuf?
Oh, he's Mark Lefebvre.
Do you mean
Mark LeBeuf is a rugby player, I think. But
Frank LeBeuf. Oh, yeah, John. Yeah, he's a footballer. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
sounds like it's time for us to.
He's gone into movies.
You're not even mic'd up, John. So we'll show you up on that camera if you're watching on YouTube. Yeah,
Ghost in the Machine.
You can watch every episode of the Self-Publishing Formula podcast on YouTube. You can get every one in audio from our website at selfpublishingformula.com. You can email us at podcast@selfpublishingformula.com. We are working on something exciting, which we're going to announce in the next few weeks, which will be an opportunity to have a one-stop place for all the knowledge that we've disseminated through the first 50-odd podcasts. So that's an announcement coming up in the next few weeks. We've got some good guests coming up as well. I'm going to do an interview tomorrow about a guy who has had incredible success. I believe the kid's called Killing It, with short stories. And I mean killing it. He's raking in 4 figures a month, just publishing his short stories. So we're going to find out how he did that. We're going to talk about dragon dictation in the next few weeks.
And who else are we interviewing tomorrow?
Tomorrow we are going to a well-known online retailer.
World's largest river?
The world's longest river.
Longest river, yeah.
Large, maybe. So we're going to go and see Amazon tomorrow. We're going to talk to the horse's mouth at the centre of this industry, you and I, in London. Great. Thank you very much indeed for listening. It's always a pleasure, never a chore. And we'll speak to you next week.
You've been listening to the Self-Publishing Formula podcast. Visit us at selfpublishingformula.com for more information, show notes, and links on today's topics. You can also sign up for our free video series on using Facebook ads to grow your mailing list. If you've enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us a review on iTunes. We'll see you next time.